Have you ever replayed a conversation hours after it ended? Not because something terrible happened, not because anyone was upset, but because one sentence keeps echoing inside your head. Did I sound weird? Why did I say that? Do they think I'm strange now? Meanwhile, the other person probably forgot the entire conversation 5 minutes after it ended. So why does your brain refuse to let it go? The answer isn't what most people expect. Your brain isn't trying to embarrass you. It's trying to protect you. And understanding the difference changes everything.
Imagine this. You leave a meeting. The conversation went well. People smiled. Nobody looked upset. Everything seemed completely normal. But the moment you're alone, your brain presses replay. Every word, every pause, every facial expression you might have misread, every sentence you could have phrased better. Almost like your mind became its own surveillance camera, rewatching footage of an event that already ended, searching for something it might have missed. Here's what's actually happening. Thousands of years ago, being rejected by your group wasn't just embarrassing, it was genuinely dangerous. Humans survived because they belonged. Food, protection, shelter, all of it came from the tribe. If your group pushed you out, your chances of survival dropped sharply. Social rejection wasn't a bruised ego. It was a threat to your life. Modern life changed completely. Your brain didn't. Neuroscientists have found that social rejection activates many of the same brain regions involved in physical pain. Not because embarrassment is physically painful, but because your brain learned over hundreds of thousands of years that social mistakes are worth remembering, worth reviewing, worth protecting against. That's why one slightly awkward sentence can feel far heavier than it actually was. Your brain isn't being dramatic. It's following ancient instructions that were written long before office meetings existed. But there's another layer. And this one is where your brain plays its biggest trick. Psychologists call it the spotlight effect. We naturally assume that other people notice us far more than they actually do. In one well-known study, participants were asked to walk into a room wearing an embarrassing t-shirt. They predicted that most people in the room would notice. The actual number? A small fraction, and most forgot within minutes. Your brain runs this same miscalculation constantly. It assumes everyone is watching, everyone noticed, everyone remembers. The reality is almost the opposite. Most people are so busy monitoring their own performance, worrying about their own words, replaying their own conversations, that they barely registered yours. The audience you're performing for largely doesn't exist. Now, here's the part that most people never hear about. Your brain is constantly making predictions about social situations. Before a conversation even begins, it has already generated expectations. How it should go, how people should respond, what normal looks like. When something feels even slightly off, an awkward pause, an ambiguous expression, a reply that landed differently than expected, your brain's prediction system flags it as an error, not a catastrophe, just an anomaly that needs investigation. So it replays the conversation, not to punish you, but to run a diagnostic, to search for what went wrong, update its model, and generate better predictions for next time. It's essentially running a software update, using your social discomfort as the data. The problem is, the update sometimes runs on a loop, and loops that run without resolution become what psychologists call rumination. Not reflection, but repetition without progress.
And there's one more thing worth understanding. These thoughts almost always intensify at night. That's not a coincidence. As external distractions quiet down, a network in your brain called the default mode network becomes more active. Its job is to process memories, simulate future scenarios, and make sense of unresolved experiences. Useful? Absolutely. It's one of the reasons humans are capable of such deep self-reflection. But sometimes it refuses to clock out, which is why the moment your head hits the pillow, your brain decides it's the perfect time to re-examine a conversation from last Thursday in forensic detail. Here's the part that changes the frame entirely. Replaying conversations doesn't necessarily mean you're insecure. Research suggests that people who reflect deeply on their social experiences often score higher in self-awareness and emotional intelligence than those who don't. The reflection itself isn't the problem. The problem
is getting stuck in it. There's a meaningful difference between two questions that look almost identical. What can I learn from this? That's reflection. It moves. What does this say about me? That's rumination. It loops. One uses the experience as information. The other uses the experience as evidence against yourself. And the longer you stay in the second question, the more your brain treats the conversation as an unresolved threat, which keeps it active, keeps it surfacing, keeps it replaying. So the next time your brain starts rewinding an awkward conversation at midnight, pause. Remind yourself of what's actually happening. Your brain flagged an anomaly. It ran its diagnostic. It's trying to build a safer model for next time. That's not a malfunction. That's a feature that occasionally overshoots. The kindest thing you can do for your brain and for yourself is to give it a gentle answer. The conversation is already over. I heard what there was to learn. We can let this one go because everyone else already has. And now, finally, so can you.
If you've ever spent an entire evening replaying one conversation that the other person forgot the moment they walked away, leave a brain in the comments. You are absolutely not alone. And if you're curious why your brain keeps doing things that feel irrational but somehow make perfect sense, subscribe, because the next video might explain another part of yourself you've never fully understood.